Hi everybody. Happy Friday afternoon if you're in the United States. My name's Elise and I'm here in Denver in my living room with my dog as per usual on Friday afternoons. And I'm excited to teach a class today that's all about heart openers, but I think I will wait about four-ish minutes to let some more people join. So while you're waiting, you can get yourself a little towel or blanket, especially if you have sensitive knees. And then you'll also need a block today. If you don't have a block, don't worry about it. We can figure that out as we go. It might be nice to put on some gentle music and have a glass of water handy, and I'll be back in about 3 minutes. Okay, we'll get started. So thank you so much for being here with me. I see that there's a few of you watching on YouTube, and I know there's probably some watching on the Yoga Download site. My name's Elise, and I'm here in Denver, Colorado, in the good old US of A. And I've been teaching this weekly yoga class, streaming live from my living room for quite some time, about 6 months now. Thanks to Yoga Download. I'm really appreciative that Yoga Download is making this a free option for people who want to practice with me in their homes. Yesterday I went into the studio and actually recorded 4 more classes for the Yoga Download site. It had been almost a year since I had recorded and I was a little rusty, but it was super fun. So there'll be some more content coming to you from me on the Yoga Download site, probably towards the end of this year or maybe early 2021. Okay, so if you didn't hear me before, go ahead and get yourself a block, some water, and maybe a little towel or blanket, especially if you have sensitive knees. And then meet me on your mat. As always, I have my dog Pippa here, so you might hear her. Okay, so when you come to a comfortable seat, you're welcome to sit up on your block. Sometimes it's nice to raise the hips a little bit higher than the knees to create more of a foundation through the lower body and find more lift and lengthen through the upper body. Then to expand through the chest, bring your hands back into your lap a little bit, allowing your elbows to bend. And then just go ahead and close your eyes. With the inhalation, feel your heart expand, your belly inflate. With the exhalation, keep your heart lifted even as the belly deflates. Come into your long, deep yogic breath, filling all the way up and emptying all the way out. Today we'll be practicing a heart opening class. It's been a rough week here in the United States, maybe around the world. A lot of anxiety and uncertainty, and a lot of division. I had an experience just this afternoon when I went grocery shopping that I was yelled at by a woman in the parking lot because I was wearing a mask. She called me so many names that I don't want to repeat right here, and was so angry. And whether or not you believe that masks are important, it doesn't matter. What's important is that we are not supporting each other. We are blaming each other. We're ousting each other. There's so much division and hate right now. And I believe that the only way to solve this on a macro level is by starting on a micro level right here with our own selves on the yoga mat, breathing and opening the heart, the place of compassion and forgiveness. In order to open the heart without being too overly giving, which can be its own problem, we also have to strengthen the spine, the back body. We have to know our own boundaries. We have to know what we stand for and have that in place in order to then expand and care for and care about each other. So we've been working the back body, strengthening the back body to open the heart, the front body. Some of you have done this work with me before, and if you enjoy this class, I have one very similar that you can download on the Yoga Download site. Okay, for a moment, bring your palms to prayer in front of your heart. Lift your heart up into your thumb tips. Bow your head down towards the wisdom of your heart. Take a deep healing breath. Then release your hands and flutter open your eyes. And we will actually begin on our backs with the block in supported bridge pose. So I hope you can see me. I'm just going to roll down onto my mat. Have the block in my hand. Bend the knees. Once the shoulders and head are on the ground, you can lift up your hips and slide your block right underneath your sacrum. Now my block will be about the medium height. If you're tall or very flexible, maybe you try the highest notch, or you can always go to the lowest notch as well, depending on your height. The block should be at the sacrum, which is that bony triangle above your butt crack and below your lower back. And then from there, maybe you could roll one shoulder and then the other under to feel more broadening and expansion through the collarbones, the chest, the belly, even the hips. Can you breathe into the frontal hip flexors, which tend to be so tight as we sit in chairs? Can you breathe into that belly and make it balloon with the inhalation? Can you breathe into your rib cage expanding 360 degrees? Can you breathe into your collarbones, feeling them lengthen and open? Send about 3 more breaths into the front of your body. We are starting this class slowly, but don't worry, we will pick up the pace and get more vigorous. Bring your feet back underneath your knees if they moved. Lift up your hips, slide the block out from underneath, and then ever so slowly roll your spine back down. And just take a few breaths here in constructive rest, knees together, feet wide. Let yourself be held by the earth. Now we're ready for bridge pose without the blocks, Bandhasana. Pull the heels close up to the hips. Slowly lift tailbone, low back, mid back, and then maybe the upper back as you pour some weight into the back of the head and the tops of the shoulders. Engage your booty, so your butt, and the space between your thigh and your butt, which is what I call the thud. Maybe you can even touch it. I'm tapping mine. And then engage your hamstrings. One way to do this is to try to pull your mat back towards you with your heels. With all of that engaged, lift up the hips a little bit higher. Lift up the rib cage a little bit higher. Feel the tension created through the spinal column muscles. One more big breath here, engage. With the exhalation, slowly roll it down, take your time. So really engaging the muscles of the back body in order to open the front body. That's the theme today. Let's go ahead and roll right over onto the belly and then come into all fours. Spread your fingers right underneath your shoulders, bring the knees underneath the hips. And for a moment, let's practice cow pose. So in cow pose, we lift the chin and lift the hips. We're opening broad through collarbones, lengthening the belly, and all of this is supported by the back body contracting. So squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other. Find some tone in the back muscles. Good. Take one more deep inhalation as you're ready. And then with the exhalation, round the back body, opposite direction, little cat pose. And then cow pose again. Squeeze shoulder blades, engage the muscles of the back. Feel the front body open. We're taking an extra breath here. And then with your next exhalation, round cat pose. Good job. Now coming back into a neutral pose, tabletop. From here, go ahead and lift your right leg up. Your left knee might want to come towards the midline a little bit. Now flex your right foot. Bring your knee as high as your hip. And then just little pulses here, as if you're trying to imprint the sole of your foot to the ceiling. Now, as I do this, I start to feel the thighs, the hamstrings, the butt, and especially the thud, the place between the thigh and the butt. Can you feel that? Good. Engage the thud for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Let's come off the wrists. Sit back and just give them a good roll out. Okay, other side. I want you to get really familiar with that area between the thigh and the butt. So we're going to lift up the left leg. Bring the knee as high as the hip. Flex the ankle. And then little pulses, like you're trying to stamp the sole of your foot on the ceiling. Let this effort, which is very small, maybe just an inch or two, let it come from the thud. Of course, your thighs and hamstrings and butt will engage as well. Squeeze that thud for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good work. Sit back, roll out the wrists. Okay, I'm going to drink a drink of water. It's very dry here in Denver. It's tricky to talk and teach at the same time. From here, let's come into a lunge. Bring the right foot forward. Now this is where you might want a little padding underneath that back knee because we're going to be here for a moment. Now this is a bit of a short lunge, and by that I mean my left knee is directly under my hip And my right leg is at a right degree angle. We'll change that up in a moment, but for now, just place your hands on your hips. Notice that you could stick your butt back and create a kind of a crunching through the low back. That's an anterior tilt of the pelvis. Instead, we want to open up the low back by tipping the pelvis under, posterior tilt of the pelvis. As you tilt the pelvis posteriorly, maybe you can feel more length through the left frontal hip flexor area. Keep that tilt of the pelvis, and then start to guide your hips towards your front heel. They might not go quite as far since you're tilting the pelvis under. From here, lift up through the heart, knit your rib cage back, and then reach the arms up overhead. Anjaneyasana. Imagine that you have my hand behind your shoulder blades, and my hand is going to press your heart 1 more inch higher to the sky. From here, also imagine that you have a pull-up bar. Some of you have done this with me before. So grab onto your pull-up bar and then pull it down as if your chin is coming up over the pull-up bar, and notice how that supports the shoulder blades to press the heart up. Good work, everyone. Release. Let's come into downward facing dog. Just wiping the slate clean. Lift up through the hips. Maybe shake your head a little bit, yes and no. Feel free to pedal out the heels. First down dog of the day, perhaps. And then drop to the knees. Take your padding, if you're using it, over to the right side. And step the left foot forward. Again, it doesn't have to go forward all the way. We want the right knee underneath the right hip to begin. Then take the hands on the hips. With the hands on the hips, you can feel into the tilt of the pelvis. Experiment by sticking your butt back. That's not what we want because it crunches the low back. Instead, we want to posteriorly tilt the pelvis by tucking it under. Then there's more opening through the front of the right hip flexor. Keep that. Start to inch the hips forward towards the front heel. Good. Make sure that the rib cage stays back. You can press the back toenails into the ground, and then finally lift the heart, lift the hands, lift the gaze. Good. Again, imagine I've got my hand underneath, behind your shoulder blades, and I'm lifting you up. And then you can find even more lift by engaging through that imaginary pull-up bar. Bend the elbows and feel the shoulder blades slide against the rib cage, lifting you higher into your back bend. Release. Downward facing dog. Woo! Simple pose, but it can really stir up a lot of energy when done with such consideration. Okay, everybody, with the next inhalation, rock forward to plank pose. Arms are straight, hands underneath the shoulders. Now go ahead and replace those hands with your elbows coming into forearm plank. So the hands and arms, forearms are parallel, like the number 11. And then from here we can come into Sphinx simply by dropping the hips, untuck the toes, lift up through the heart and roll your shoulders back and down. And then feel as if you've got the hands swiping the floor back towards your hips. The chest presses through the gate of the upper arm bones. The shoulder blades slide down and press up at the same time. By that I mean they slide down the back, but then help you lift the heart. And then tuck the chin slightly to lengthen the back of the neck. Good work. Then hands come down underneath the shoulders. You can press back, almost as if you're coming into child's pose, hips towards the heels, and then tuck your toes and straighten your legs. Downward facing dog should feel pretty good on the low back now. a 3 or 4 breaths here in stillness. And then with the next inhalation, you can look forward, exhale, walk your feet towards your hands. At the top of the mat, inhale into a halfway lift. Now we're opening the heart, so roll the shoulders back. Exhale, keep the heart broad, even as you fold forward and down. Oh yeah. Okay, chair pose is next. So bend the knees. Make sure that the thighs are parallel with the ground and that the knees are behind your toes. So lots of weight in the heels. Then reach the arms up high and open your heart. Take your imaginary pull-up bar, bend the elbows and pull, feeling the shoulder blades slide down the back and lift the heart higher. Beautiful back bend right here. Good. Keep the upper body just as it is and start to straighten the legs. Now we're coming into a standing back bend. So imagine you have a string on your chest attaching you to the sky. It's like a fishing line. It's going to pull you up, 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 gazing along a line on the ceiling, up, 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 and then come back to standing, palms to prayer. Back bends are very invigorating. So if you're feeling a little extra, I know I am, you can ground through the feet, turn your gaze to the earth. Emphasize your exhalations. Let's try another balancing pose, this time, another heart opening pose, this time balancing. So, dancer's pose, except it's going to be a little bit different than usual. I'd like you to take your right palm up, elbow by your side. So it's like you're holding a tray. Then kick up the right foot. But before you take the foot in the hand, take your hand and feel that your butt is engaged, your thigh is engaged, and your hamstrings are engaged. So that when you take your hand around your foot, go ahead and join me now. It's not really the hand that's holding the leg there, but it's really the muscles of the back of the leg. Then the left arm can reach. You could even experiment with a one-handed pull-up bar here to find the lift through the chest. Now engage the back of the leg, squeeze the muscles around the spine, lift up and open your heart in hope, compassion, forgiveness, and then gently release. Place the foot down slowly on purpose, like you mean it, palms to the heart. Notice if you just took a big sigh. If so, you're probably holding your breath, which many, many people do in that pose. And as I always say, it's more important to breathe than it is to get into the pose. So let's try again. Keep the breath flowing. This time the left arm comes out like you're holding a tray, palm up. Then with the strength of the back of the leg, lift and hold the left foot up. You can reach back and grab the foot, but make sure it's a light hold. Really the work is coming from the foot, the thigh, the hamstring, and the butt. Then the right arm can lift, the gaze can lift. You can try that one-armed pull-up bar. Then spend some breaths here to open the heart even more. Beautiful back bend, a little posterior tilt of the pelvis. 2 more breaths. Release with as much control and grace as possible. Stand still, palms to prayer. Feel free to direct your gaze towards the earth. Okay. With the next inhalation, Reach the arms up and take a baby back bend right here. With the exhalation, big circle of the arms to interlace the hands behind your back. Now notice that even though my hands are behind my back, I could have my shoulders rolling forward. But instead, what I want to encourage you to do is to roll the shoulders back. Exterior rotation of the upper arm bones. Then there's more broadening through the chest. Keep the chest broad and start to fold forward all the way down. Lengthen the back of the neck as you come down. And let the hands drop forward and down. From here, it could be nice to direct your torso towards the left leg, little twist. Then little twist, directing the torso to the right leg. And then come back to center, release the arms to the ground. Step back, plank pose. So you've been here in plank once before today. This time in plank, I want you to pretend you can do a pull-up bar action. So pull-up bar in plank means the shoulder blades will come together. There's more tension in the rhomboids and mid-traps. Good. Can you feel that stability you've created? From here, forearm plank. See if you can keep the stability as you replace the hands with the elbows. Pull up bar, even here, find the action in the scapular region. Good, and let it go. Sphinx pose, hips down, heart high. Swipe the floor back towards you with the fingers. Roll the shoulders down the back. Let's practice locust pose. So in locust pose, let's just bring the whole body down to the ground to begin. And then cactus, open the arms as if you have a pull-up bar. Surprise, surprise. And then, before anything else, bend at the knees and flex at the ankles. Take a deep inhalation. I always like to come up on the exhalation. Let's take one more deep breath in. And then exhale, come up. Elbows bent, knees bent. Beautiful back bend here. Now, take your pull-up bar, even here, and pull it down as if your chin is coming up over the pull-up bar. Notice how that strengthens your back body to open the heart. Then squeeze your thut and your butt and your hamstrings and lift the feet a little higher. Good work. Release, let it go. And just for a counter pose, let's find child's. So give the back body a little bit of a break by bringing the hips towards the heels and the forehead to the ground. Okay, from child's pose, we're going to come up onto the knees again. So again, you may want to pad them. This time we'll be on both of them at the same time. Into Anahata Asana, which is a big shoulder opener and heart opener. Anahata means the heart chakra. So it's almost like child's pose, except that you can see my hips are right above my knees. Keep your hips above your knees and then walk your arms forward and bring your forehead to the ground. Now, some people, if they're more flexible than I am, can actually bring chin to the ground, but only do that if it's really comfortable for your neck. Then the object here is to really start to melt the space between the shoulder blades that's been working so hard and really soften it so that the chest can, breath by breath, open towards the floor. You may be feeling a lot of tension in your shoulders. Usually I like to ease that tension by bending the elbows and lifting the head up onto the forearms. You can still get a really nice opening in Anahata Chakra, the heart center, even if the head is lifted and the shoulders aren't working quite as much. We're here for 3 breaths. Beautiful job. Let's transition slowly into downward facing dog from here. And in this down dog, I want you to find a little Hatha asana, as if you're on the floor, just as if you were in the last pose. Let the space between the shoulder blades melt back towards your toes. This is not the way we normally do downward dog, but for the purposes of today's class, I'm encouraging it. And then go ahead and look forward and walk your feet towards your hands. With the inhalation, halfway lift, shoulders back, burst your heart forward. Exhale, keep the broadening as you fold all the way down. Let's bend the knees again for Utkatasana, our chair pose, bringing the weight back into the heels, lift the arms. Find your pull-up bar, back bend right here. Then instead of standing up, we're actually going to lower the hips down, 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 and potentially sit down onto the bottom very gracefully. We'll get there someday. Now we're in Navasana, boat pose. Today I'm going to keep my knees bent. You can always straighten the legs if you'd like. What's more important is that we lift up through the heart, almost like that same pull-up bar action right here. So the arms can come forward, they could come up, you could pull up bar, cactus them. I want you to lift up through the heart for 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and bring the feet down, cross the ankles, roll right over them into plank pose. Strong spine, open heart, forearm plank. You know where we're going, Sphinx pose. Then, as if you're coming into child's, push yourself back, tuck your toes, straighten the legs, downward facing dog. This time in down dog, reach your right leg up to the sky. Bend the knee and draw it towards your nose. So we're rounding into a cat pose for a moment and then stepping the foot forward into lunge. To begin, let's just reach the heart forward and roll the shoulders back and down. So you're creating a little bit of a Sphinx pose even here. Then press evenly through both feet. Squeeze the inner thighs towards midline and come up, hands to the hips. A little bit of a posterior tilt here in Crescent Lunge. That means the tailbone drops. It can actually happen more if you bend the back knee. So try that, bend the back knee, tilt the pelvis under, re-straighten that back leg. And then reach the arms up overhead, Crescent Lunge. Find your pull-up bar, pull it down, and then lean your heart forward, keeping the chest nice and broad. Pull belly in to support you, squeeze the inner thighs. Now we're going to start to rotate. So keeping the chest open, cactus the arms, and guide your left elbow towards your right thigh. Now the chest will close a little bit as you bring your palms together for prayer twist in Crescent Lunge. Try to broaden through the collarbones even here. And then slowly release, hands down, downward facing dog. The beginning of this class was deceptively easy, right? I hope you're getting a good workout. I think I am. Let's lift the left leg up. Round the back body like cat pose, bringing the knee forward and through. Step the foot. Come up onto your fingertips so that you can really open and broaden the chest, making a long line from the heel to the head. Once you've got that, then really compact the hips, squeeze your inner thighs towards midline, and come up, hands to hips. Posterior tilt of the pelvis, you could bend the knee. Then re-straighten the leg. Oh. Arms come up, heart lifts. Bend the elbows, find your back bend. Nice job, everybody. Keep that back bend. Keep the broadness in the chest as long as you can as you start to lean over the front thigh and guide right elbow to left knee. Finally, the hands can come together, taking your twist. Release. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Okay, let's do one more standing pose, and then we'll do another big back bend, and then start to slow it down. So inhale the right leg up, exhale, step it through. Pivot and place the back foot down, and then rise for warrior two. On the way, I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay, warrior two. We bend down deeply through that front knee and track it over the pinky side of the foot, spreading open the pelvis. What I'm more concerned about today is the heart. So lift up through the chest, reach from the heart through the fingertips, roll the shoulders down the back, and feel if you can start to make that pull-up bar action even here. Shoulder blades squeeze in, collarbones open. Then the gaze is steady over that right finger. Strong, calm, compassionate warrior. Someone who knows his or her own true boundaries, what they stand for, but can still care for and care about others. Nice job. Windmill the hands down. We'll take it right back to downward facing dog. Last big standing pose. Inhale the left leg high. Exhale, step it through. Landing as softly as possible. Pivot and place the back heel down. Now ground through the feet. The more you can find that groundedness through the lower body, the more you can shine and lift through the upper body. Feel as if your heart is expanding through both sets of fingers. Turn the gaze. Sink down through lower body. Little Sphinx pose through the upper body. Soft, steady, calm, empathetic and compassionate, full of forgiveness and ease. Good work. One more time. Windmill the hands down. Find downward facing dog. Okay, hopefully you're nice and warm for a big back bend. If not, please adapt. We're going to rock forward to plank pose. Bring the left hand underneath the face for side plank. Then step the right leg back behind you and prepare for wild thing. So I like to bend the left knee for wild thing as well. And then lift up, almost like we did in bridge pose. Bring the right arm up, plug it into its socket, and then reach back, big heart opener. One more big breath in. With the exhalation, pivot on the ball of the left foot and come back to downward dog. Oh. Not easy to talk and do that pose at the same time. I hope you guys found more breath than I did. We are just going to do it one more time. Let's rock forward to plank pose. Take the right hand underneath the face a little bit further forward. Roll over onto right foot. Cross your left foot behind you. Bend the knee. You can bend the knee of the right foot too if you choose. Just a different variation. And then push through your hand and through both feet to lift the hips. With the left hand and arm, plug it down into the socket and then reach up and over. Wild thing. You make my heart sing. Go ahead and roll out of it. Downward facing dog. And child's pose. Drop it down. This is a good opportunity to slow down the breath. Feel into the suppleness you've created in your chest. And we'll finish our practice with just a couple floor poses and then a nice long shavasana. So let's just go ahead and roll over onto our backs where we started today. And we'll do another supported bridge. So just like we did in the beginning of class, this time it's going to feel a little different because you've opened up the front body so much. So I'm going to take my block and actually turn it to a higher notch. Roll the shoulders under. And then just let the body be supported. If you've lost your breath at all, this is a good opportunity again to reconnect with that deep breath in and that slow, complete breath out. The breath in teaches us to be strong and proud and alive, vigorous, and act up for what we believe in. And the breath out allows us to learn non-attachment, to let go, to be still, to turn inwards. Okay, press with the heels, lift up the hips, slide the back out from underneath, and then slowly roll on down. Oh, I wish I didn't have to get you up, but I do want you to roll up just for a moment so you can place the block right about shoulder blade height. So your scapula, your shoulder blades that we've been talking about so much, go ahead and roll them right over the block. Now we're not going to be here for very long, so no worries if your head is dangling. If you do have that blanket or towel you could stuff underneath like a little pillow, that could be fine too. Now that chest gets supported and opened at the same time, you could just keep your knees bent, feet on the ground, or you could bring the soles of the feet together with the knees wide, or you could extend the legs out straight, your choice. And then take about 5 deep breaths into your heart center. Okay, to release from here, ever so slowly, very, very carefully, roll to one side and then push the block out of the way and roll back down into your spine. Okay, let's do a little twist here. So just pull both knees up into your chest and take them over to the left, both knees to the left. Turn your head and shoulders to the right. Let yourself be heavy and relaxed. With your next in-breath, move the knees through center, gaze through center, and then knees to the right, gaze and shoulders to the left. You might hear my dog as she hears the neighbors. Tends to happen right around Shavasana time. Let's bring the knees back to center and then extend for our final corpse pose. Legs out, arms out, palms up, eyes closed down. Let go of the deep breath now. Let go of any mission, any sense of purpose. Instead, just allow yourself to be. Know that for now, this is enough. This rest, this simple being is so necessary to support you during the rest of your life. So don't skimp yourself, just stay. Stay and breathe. And then when you feel ready, you can start to deepen and lengthen your breath. Feel your belly rise and fall. You can bring some movement into the very tips of your toes and fingers, or roll out ankles and wrists. Maybe you'd like to stretch the arms up overhead and lengthen from fingers to toes. And as you're ready, pull one knee and then the other up towards your chest. Roll to one side, rest in a little fetal position. And you can use your hands and arms to help you press up. We'll end with a moment of seated meditation. So again, you might want to sit up on your block. And as you come back to this position where you were 45 minutes ago, just take a moment to notice if your body feels different. This could be your physical body, emotional body, energetic body. Just notice, what did that movement that you just did do to influence your body? And then place your right palm on your chest. Cover your right palm, right hand with your left, so that your thumb pads touch. Continue to lift up through the heart, even as you take nice, long, full exhalations. And then your thumb tips can touch as you slide the palms together into prayer pose. Thank you all so much for joining me week after week here on Yoga Download. I'm going to take the next month off of teaching because I'm in grad school and I have classes on Friday evenings. And hopefully be back in November, although I'm not quite sure about that yet. Please stay in touch. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm the only Elise fabricant. I'm also a health and wellness coach, and I'm taking clients for 2021. So if you're interested in that, I'd love to talk to you too. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste. I hope you all feel so good in your heart and can go spread the love. Bye everybody. See you in a few weeks.